Alrighty, so we had the honor, Bel and I, this past Wednesday to attend the Mariners pre-spring training media event. Converge Media was personally invited. We want to thank Sarah Alamshaw with the Mariners for helping get all these things set up. It was a great time. Cal Raleigh was there, talked about the excitement of being back in the building. New addition Teoscar Hernandez spoke to the media as well. There's all this great stuff, but what stood out most to us was the announcement of this partnership with EL1 Sports about the Mariners Training Center. We were able to speak with Aaron Trolia and Jamil Kante about this partnership with the Mariners, a multi-year partnership, and how it also affects Baseball Beyond Borders. Baseball Beyond Borders founder Buki Gates was there. We got to speak with him as well. It was all just really exciting to see how these facilities will be able to give access to those who don't necessarily have those resources to play the game of baseball, as well as to just even begin that idea of playing baseball, to start the idea to give them this option. Hey, maybe this is a sport you want to play. It was all very exciting to hear about. And sure, it's just great to see the Mariners involved in the community like this to get people out there playing the game of baseball. So without ado, why don't we take a look at that?
One of the definitions of team, which is a group of individuals with complementing skills that's required to complete a task or goal. So we kind of look at that as kind of how we've set this up and seeing who are the individuals, which organizations can we partner with that have complementing skills to really complete that task and goal of equitable access to all these kids.
I think a tangible goal that I know we want to see is that kids have access to playing the game, right? More and more kids are participating and getting engaged in baseball and softball efforts. It's going to be an important step to not only focus on our kids, but also to look at how we can empower coaches and really use that and use the EL1 model as a resource point to develop our coaching staff and make sure that we continue to have the representation so that those kids who are our target market, they also see themselves in this game. This RBI Regional Tournament is the platform that allows these kids to take their game to that next level and to compete at high levels.
The true core of what EL1 is and who we are is collaboration, right? And so we wanted to unite the baseball and softball communities for years. And again, to partner with the Mariners to do that with their brand, their history, and this excitement around the team. And everyone's come together.
We saw that the market was extremely fragmented. The costs were through the roof. We believe that there was a more efficient and a better way to do it. We saw lots of volunteers that are well-intended and great people that lack resources, bandwidth to execute in their communities. And so we decided to build something in service of that. So we actually offer many back office services programs to really support organizations from the Little League level all the way through training facilities. So partnering with the Mariners and having 5 training centers is just the beginning. We're actually providing access through our mobile program as well. I believe we have almost 90 events scheduled throughout that 5-state region to bring baseball and the Mariners to these communities that might not have access to make it to one of these facilities.
We want to bring everyone inside, metaphorically, and just from a standpoint of making sure that everyone has access and opportunities to come and be a part of the training centers.
Our commitment to Baseball Beyond Borders is to work with them from the beginning. We want them to be a part of what we're doing, and that's why they're here right now. So we can do this from the start. There's no misconceptions. There's no misunderstandings. We walk through this and we're aligned, not just as EL1, but the Mariners Training Centers, the Mariners, and then with Baseball Beyond Borders.
So this is the first step in the right direction that allows inclusivity in our practice to be able to really build upon our baseball and softball model within Baseball Beyond Borders and ensure that communities are centered and that they have the direct access to be able to create a sense of belonging. I think it's important that they now have a power of place that they can go be who they want to become. And this partnership, this collaboration, this team effort that I think EL1, Seattle Mariners, and Baseball Beyond Borders is moving towards is going to be a catalyst to help really increase baseball and softball access here in our region.
As someone who grew up playing in the muddy covered fields, here in Seattle with the weather, I know, Bel, we think about the weather here, not exactly the most ideal for the conditions for baseball at the time. To see this is really exciting. We want to thank Nova Newcomer as well with Mariners Care. Nova has helped us out greatly, whether it is with this or with the introduction of the class of 2027 for the Hometown 9 during the course of the season. This is all just really cool to see this partnership. And with Buki, it was great to hear the words first step. right? Because it's obvious that the Mariners have greater plans for the continued commitment to the youth in this community and the growth of the game of baseball. What excited you most about all of that?
Just access, coming from a smaller town myself, and not having resources can really just take you out of a sport. So giving them resources, giving them these training centers, the ability to practice a sport that they like, or even just, you never know what some situations are at home. So being able to just get out of your home space and do something that you like, an activity that you like, it's just great that they're expanding and that the Mariners have collaborated with them, because they know how important it is to give access to these youth. So that was everything.
Yeah, and it's I'm really excited to get out to one of these facilities at some point in time. I know that they have 5 around the Western Washington area, and speaking with Jamil, I know that EL1 Sports has plans with the Mariners to expand that into their TV sort of market in those 5 states of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Alaska. Shoot, I could be missing the 5th one there, but the point is made. So no, it was very exciting to hear about that. And we had some other stuff that was taking place at the Mariners pre-spring training event. Again, it was very fun to be there with Cal Raleigh, Teoscar Hernandez in front of this group of the media, Greg Green, the Mariners executive, Jerry DePoto, Justin Hollander, a bunch of baseball-related stuff. There was stuff about promotions, like giveaways. There will be a Julio Rodriguez Funko Pop, J.P. Crawford Funko Pop, a cowboy hat. I'm very interested to see what that entails. But then also some updates.
The crossbody.
Oh, the crossbody. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't had one of those before, but I might be interested to get one of those, honestly. We'll see. But updates on Mariners, all of that is covered. We have that covered, as well as the more information on the Mariners Training Center. If you go to the blog site of Converge, if you head to the blog, there's an article that we've done on the training center itself and interviews with Buki Gates, with Baseball Beyond Borders, Aaron Trolia, and Jamil Conte with EL1 Sports, as well as it's a hefty breakdown on the rest of the day there as well. I don't know about you, Bel, but Buki's out there styling. I mean, I wish I had style. I don't. I mean, if you see me at any of these games, it's like I'm wearing khakis, man. But it was a lot of fun to speak with those guys and to really get that story. That's rooted to our community, right? And Circling Seattle Sports, what we're doing here, and obviously Converge as well, is rooted in the Seattle community. So. To move on with the rest of our Mariners segment here, some roster moves over the course of the past week. Nothing too crazy, but it's always funny with some of these roster moves when guys come in and then like a week or two they're out later. The Mariners claimed left-handed pitcher Taylor Saucedo, the 29-year-old, has appeared in 33 Major League games with Toronto over the course of the last 2 seasons. A 0-0 record with a 5.4 ERA, 17 earned runs over 28.1 innings pitched, with 11 walks and 19 Ks. He was claimed off of waivers by the Mets from Toronto on the 9th of November last year, and then DFA'd by the Mets on January 24th. He's also a local product, so he's from around the area here. As a corresponding move to this, the team designated right-handed pitcher J.B. Bukauskas for assignment. So Bukauskas spent a few weeks here, but he was, over the past week, outrighted to AAA Tacoma and will be a non-roster invitation for spring training. Speaking about those non-roster invitations for spring training, this is always the fun part because you never know if any of these guys will make the roster. Usually not. Usually it's to see some of these younger guys that are exciting that we'll get into, see what kind of where they're at spring training. They likely, won't make the opening day roster, but maybe we see them over the course of the regular season. So we'll go into the 32 before Bukauskas was added, 32 non-roster invitation players for spring training, starting with pitchers, Nick Margavicius, Tommy Malone, Justice Sheffield, Blake Wyman, Taylor Dollard, Emerson Hancock, Travis Kuhn, Darren McCacken, Bryce Miller, Riley O'Brien, Jose Rodriguez, Ryder Ryan, Casey Sadler, Taylor Williams, and Brian Wu. So there's some interesting names there. In the pitchers specifically, I haven't even gotten to the rest of the position groups, right? Something that a lot of Mariner fans have been interested about is whether one of those pitchers like Dollard, Hancock, or Miller may crack the starting rotation by the time we hit opening day. This would obviously mean a move regarding Marco Gonzalez. I know that during that meeting that we were out on Wednesday that we've been talking about, right? Said that Gonzalez and Chris Flexen are kind of battling out that fifth roster spot, and they would not go to a six-man rotation again. Justin Hollander joked to not say that around the guys, to not incite a riot. But it's very interesting to see if one of those guys will crack the rotation in a similar way to last year, where Matt Brash was able to crack the opening day rotation, later moving into the bullpen. But I don't know. I'm very interested. Hancock's a highly regarded prospect. Bryce Miller's been gaining a lot of attention over this offseason. Taylor Williams, even a guy that spent the end of the year in AAA Tacoma after joining the team. Williams has also got a funny story. He was involved in the one of the few trades the Mariners have made with the Padres over the course of the last 2 years. And so the Mariners sent Williams down to San Diego, and he's ended up back in Seattle. So it's I don't know, kind of funny to note that. But yes, it's very interesting to see if one of those three pitchers might crack the roster by the time we've gone through spring training. So with that, we'll go to catchers here. This is the position group I'm the most excited for. And for one guy that's on the screen right now. So the catchers list is obviously Jake Anchia, Harry Ford, Jacob Nottingham, Brian O'Keefe, and Matt Scheffler. Now, Harry Ford, not to be mistaken for Harrison Ford, I think I've told Bell this before, but immediately when he was drafted by the Mariners, I noticed something interesting about Harry. His positions listed were catcher and center field. That just tells you the versatility that Ford has, and that's why he's got me excited. He had a solid year last year, and I'm really hoping that he ends up in Everett to begin the year this year for the Aqua Sox, so that we can get some coverage out there. I know I've been poking the idea of having someone go out to Everett for some of these Aqua Sox games, and that's exciting. Something we'll go further into later on, but I'm very excited to see Harry Ford and what he might bring. Amongst those names, Brian O'Keefe spent some of the last few games of the regular season with the Mariners when Seattle was dealing with injuries. Jacob Nottingham is another one of those guys that had an interesting it's like the meme from The Simpsons where Abe Simpson comes into the restaurant, he puts his hat on the rack and then takes it immediately off and circles back out of the restaurant. Nottingham was claimed off of waivers by the Mariners, and they were like, him and the Brewers played ping pong with Nottingham. It was again, it's always funny to see some of the transactions that happen at Major League Baseball levels or even Major League levels in general. So that heading over to the infielder spot. Nope. Well, I apologize. I don't seem to have that. Infielders, Jose Caballero, Drew Ellis, Mike Ford, Mason McCoy, Colin Moran, Caden Polkovich, Leo Rivas, and Jake Shiner round out the infielders list there. And the outfielders, nothing too surprising necessarily. Zach DeLoach, Jack Larson, Robert Perez, and Alberto Rodriguez, who is actually removed from the 40-man roster just a month ago. So again, all of these guys, a lot of this is minor leaguers. Some of these guys are veterans that are looking to crack the roster, guys that the Mariners might be kicking the tires on. Spring training's fun, man. You know, again, I joke about playing center field from Drew Fogarty and, you know, hearing that at the ballpark every single day. It gets you excited. I'm excited to be back. You know, I know Bell's excited, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We're waiting on a few schedules so that we can divvy out where our coverage will be. Thank you, NWSL. I'm just excited to get back to the ballpark. I don't know about you, but it'll be a lot of fun. And we don't have to wait too long for games because the first Mariners spring training game takes place on the 24th of this month. So just get to the end of the month. Our last piece of Mariners news is that the day of that pre-spring training event, it was later on in the day. It wasn't the same day. The team signed super utility man, Dylan Moore, to a 3-year extension, signing for $8.875 million. No, there are no options in the deal for him to avoid arbitration, which will include escalators to make that deal up to $9 million. There is a buyout for one free agent year. Last year, Moore had a .368 on-base percentage and played 7 total positions over the course of 2022. Oh, that's not how I wanted it to be. Dang it. What did you see from Moore last year? I'm a little split on the guy. He's been viewed as a potential in-house option for the Mariners at the second base spot, and hasn't necessarily panned out at that. He's had flashes defensively. He's been able to make some really great plays defensively, but I think he fits the super utility role best. And I say super, obviously. I just mentioned the 7 positions played in 2022. They've thrown him out in the outfield before. I think he played third base one of the last few games of the season when Gino was actually injured. He stepped in for J.P. Crawford at shortstop before. Second base is kind of where he stays. I don't know. What were your thoughts on Moore when you were able to witness it last year, Bel?
I think I just need, and this might come from like the whole team, but I just need some more consistent offense. I'm trying to just think back to last season, and I don't think that there were super huge moments where Dylan Moore, it was like kind of inconsistent when he was at bat. So yeah, that's it. I need some consistent offense from this guy, from these guys. I'm sorry. And it sounded like that's kind of what the team goal was as a whole from that same media day on Wednesday. So hopefully we see improvement. And when I think super utility man, if I'm being honest, the first name that comes to my head, and that might be because of his performance late in the season, but Sam Haggerty. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's fun to be able to have 2 guys like that on your roster, right? And I really like that you brought that up about consistent offense and that being mentioned in the pre-spring training event. Thank you for that. That's great.
Yeah.
Because Scott Servais did talk about that heavily. He talked about how there were ruts that this team got in, and it's something that we actually talked about in our articles. If you go to the blogs and you look at even sometimes later in the season, right, there would be games where the Mariners are hammering home runs. They put up double-digit runs on the board, and then there's the game after where they put out 1 and they barely get the ball out of the infield. You know what I mean? So that's a big thing. And I know that, we talked about Teoscar, the head of the Mariners section. General manager Justin Hollander really preached that he's a true middle of the order guy that's going to be able to extend that, who's got power to be able to put one over the fence to get this team kind of rolling again. Colton Wong is somebody they talked about. He's very different from Teoscar in terms of how his bat is, more of a contact guy, get on base kind of guy. And you need that, though. We've got a friend watching who's a big proponent of the former second baseman from last year, and Adam Frazier. Frazier, again, was he did have some hot streaks, but again, the consistent offense game kind of went to just about everybody. Ty France, who I'm a big fan of at first base, and Ty France still deserves more love. He dealt with some injury stuff, and he was inconsistent here and there. A lot of the main majority of this team, like you said, there was no one you can really look at and say he was consistent the whole year, right? So I think it's great to bring that back up. Before we switch gears to our Storm segment that's got mixed feelings, do you have anything else that you'd like to leave on from whether that's the meeting or anything to note as we approach spring training is approaching here? It's like the meme that I'll post during Mariners games where the Mariner Moose is in the rearview mirror and it says objects are closer than they appear. Do you have anything to leave off on?
I just want to thank the Mariners organization and our Converge team who was out there on Media Day on Wednesday. You, of course, myself, Mathew, and Liv just really helped make it possible. And, of course, the EL1 guys, Aaron and Jamil and Bookie from BBB for taking time to speak with us and just make the day overall great.
I would echo that sentiment. I mean, just to talk to Aaron and Jamil, that was really fun to learn more about that. 2 local guys. Aaron is actually a former Mariners prospect. Buki, I've been meaning to meet Buki. I haven't been able to do so until then. So it was great to speak with him, hoping that we can work on some more stuff going forward. And I really am. I want to go out to one of the facilities. I know there's one here in Seattle, so that one shouldn't be too hard to find. Again, just your reminder that Mariners pitchers and catchers, I tried to combine them there. Pitchers and catchers report on February 16th. So we're getting closer. That first game is on the 24th.